Good evening, my friend. There are things we do casually, everyday habits we don't even think about. But what if I told you that something as simple as what you eat at night could be an open door to spiritual warfare? What if I told you that while you're asleep, certain things you consumed are giving witches and dark forces legal access to your life? Stay with me, because tonight we are going to expose a silent enemy. Spiritual laws govern the natural world. In this life, everything you see, everything you touch, everything you experience, it is governed by unseen spiritual laws. Gravity holds you to the earth without your permission. Time moves forward without asking for your agreement. Likewise, the spiritual world is structured by laws that never sleep, never stop working, and never apologize for the consequences they produce. Just because something is invisible does not mean it is powerless. In fact, the most powerful forces in your life are the ones you cannot see. You cannot see the wind, but it can tear down cities. You cannot see your thoughts, but they build or destroy your destiny. You cannot see a spiritual door opening, but the moment it does, it changes your life forever. Every law you break, you will pay for, even if you didn't know it existed. Ignorance of a law does not cancel its judgment. Just as stepping off a roof without knowing the law of gravity still guarantees a fall, stepping outside the protection of divine principles invites invisible forces to crash into your life. When a person eats without thought, acts without prayer, moves without discernment, they are walking through a battlefield blindfolded. Life is not casual, it is consequential. Every action invites a reaction. Every door opened attracts a guest. And hear me carefully, not every guest you attract will have good intentions for your life. Just as failing to lock your door at night could invite a thief, failing to guard your spirit invites intruders into your mind, your emotions, your destiny. In the spiritual realm, every door you leave open becomes an entry point for something or someone you did not intend to entertain. There's a reason why history records entire cultures offering food to idols, because they knew food is spiritual. Food was not just about satisfying hunger, it was about forging covenants. It was about inviting spiritual forces into human affairs. And today, though modern culture has made food casual, witches, sorcerers, and dark spiritualists still understand what many believers have forgotten: that certain foods are not just prepared for the body, they are prepared to trap the soul. Think about this. Why do cultures with deep occult traditions prepare night offerings with sweets, meats, fruits, and wines? Because when consumed in ignorance, these foods serve as invitations, silent agreements between the consumer and the spirit world. Imagine you're at a family gathering. Laughter fills the room, plates are passed, traditions are celebrated. But unseen to your eyes, some of those meals have been prayed over by hands that don't serve the light. In the natural, you're sharing a meal. In the spirit, you're signing a contract. This is why discernment is not optional for those who desire to live victorious lives. You must never let your appetite speak louder than your spirit. Hunger cannot be your master. Desperation cannot be your leader. Desire cannot be your decision maker. Otherwise, you will consume things that consume you from the inside out. Now, look at your life. Reflect honestly. How many times have you felt exhausted at a late night meal, not just physically, but spiritually? How many times have you battled dark dreams, strange fears, heavy emotional oppression after an innocent midnight snack? It wasn't the calories that weighed you down. It was the spiritual residue attached to what you consume. People laugh about food comas, but they don't understand some foods can induce spiritual comas. They dull your alertness. They cloud your discernment. They make you vulnerable when you were called to be victorious. Witchcraft doesn't need to use dramatic rituals to access your life. It just needs one doorway left unguarded. One moment of careless consumption, one night of flesh-led living, one meal eaten without prayer. And before you know it, your peace is disturbed, your focus is fractured, your relationships are strained, and you don't even realize that the attack started when you sat at the wrong table and ate the wrong thing. Think about the power of prayer over your food. It is not a religious exercise. It is a spiritual declaration of ownership. It's saying, this food belongs to the kingdom of light. No foreign spirit may claim it. No dark covenant may use it. No witch, no warlock, no principality has authority over what nourishes my body. When you pray, you sanctify the natural. You realign what was touched by unholy hands back under holy dominion. You tear up contracts you didn't know you signed. You break agreements you didn't know you entered. You close doors you didn't know you opened. Every day, you must choose whether you will live casually or live consciously, whether you will eat whatever is placed before you or discern what you allow into your temple. Because remember, you are not just a body moving through a physical world, you are a spirit navigating a spiritual battlefield. Your enemies do not need to attack you in broad daylight if they can simply feed you destruction disguised as delight at night. Your greatest battles are often fought not with weapons, but with wisdom, not with fists, but with faith, not with shouting, but with choosing. Picture your life like a fortified city. Every time you eat without prayer, a gate cracks open. Every time you indulge carelessly, a hole is torn in your wall. But every time you choose wisdom, every time you stop and pray, every time you invite God's presence into your everyday actions, you lay another brick of protection. You raise another banner of victory. You build a life so fortified, so fireproof, so spirit-led, that no witch, no warlock, no enemy of your soul can find a single opening. They will come looking for a door and find none. They will come looking for a weakness and find a wall. They will come looking for a feast and find a fortress. Daily life demands your awareness. Casualness is not your friend. In a world where spiritual forces are constantly looking for ways to enter, your vigilance is your survival. Your discernment is your deliverance. Your prayer is your power. And your wisdom, your God-given, spirit-led wisdom, will be the weapon that guarantees your victory. Because what you allow into your body is not just feeding your hunger, it's feeding your future. And you must protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Food has always been a spiritual gateway from the beginning of time. Food has always been more than something to fill the stomach. It has been a bridge, a gateway between the natural and the spiritual. When God placed Adam and Eve in the garden, He didn't test them with gold. He didn't test them with power. He didn't test them with fame. He tested them with food, one fruit, one act of eating. It wasn't about hunger. It was about obedience, dominion, and covenant. Food has always been a medium of transaction between realms. It is not casual, it is covenantal. Whenever you sit at a table, you're not just eating to survive. You are partaking in something spiritual, something that speaks louder than your words and stretches further than your intentions. If you look throughout human history, you will find that every major religion, every major ancient culture has used food as a tool for spiritual encounters, sacrifices made to idols, offerings left on altars, feasts prepared for the gods. Food was always involved. Because those who understand the invisible world know that food can carry spiritual energy. Food can become an altar. Food can become a weapon. Food can become a doorway. You may think you're just biting into bread, but in the spirit, you're biting into a covenant. You may think you're just sipping a drink, but in the spirit, you're sipping from a cup of either blessing or bondage. Imagine being invited to a dinner. You sit down at a table that looks beautiful. The plates are shining. The candles are glowing. The aroma of the food fills the air. Everything looks normal. But what you don't see is that hours before you arrived, someone spoke over that food. They spoke death. They spoke jealousy. They spoke confusion. They spoke manipulation. And now, through your mouth, through your acceptance, you are agreeing to things you don't even know about. You think you're just enjoying a meal, but in the unseen realm, papers are being signed with your spirit's fingerprint. Every time you eat something that was prepared with spiritual corruption, you are risking transferring that corruption into your system. You don't have to believe it for it to affect you. You don't have to understand it for it to impact you. Spiritual laws are not subject to your opinion. They operate based on authority, not awareness. A child touching fire does not cancel the burn because they didn't know better. In the same way, partaking in spiritually contaminated food doesn't protect you just because you were unaware. This is why knowledge is power. This is why discernment is not optional for the wise. Think about your daily life. You grab fast food late at night because you're tired. You reach for whatever is easy. You snack mindlessly while scrolling through your phone. You eat without thinking, without praying, without discerning, and you wonder why your dreams are tormented. You wonder why you wake up feeling heavy, anxious, oppressed. It's not just a sugar rush. It's not just bad digestion. Sometimes it's a spiritual residue sitting on your soul, weighing you down because you opened your spirit without covering in prayer. How many people have found themselves battling depression, fear, strange illnesses, financial losses, all starting after a simple gathering, a meal, a shared dish? It's not a coincidence. Life is spiritual before it is physical. What you consume becomes part of you, body, soul, and spirit. Food that is prayed over becomes strength. Food that is cursed becomes poison. You are not just what you eat physically. You are what you eat spiritually. Take an example from everyday life when pharmaceutical company releases medicine. They don't just say, here, take this, it'll help you. They provide research. They show the ingredients. They make you aware of side effects. But when you sit at random tables, when you accept every offering without discernment, you are swallowing spiritual substances without reading the label. You are taking in atmospheres you cannot see but will surely feel. Witches understand the power of food. That's why rituals are performed over certain dishes. That's why festivals to dark powers are often accompanied by elaborate feasts. They know that the fastest way to enter a life is through an unsuspecting mouth. You don't need to stab a person with a knife if you can slip something into their food. You don't need to forcefully attack a destiny if you can trick it into eating its own destruction. It's subtle, it's strategic, it's spiritual warfare disguised as hospitality. In moments of weakness, people reach for comfort food. And in moments of spiritual weakness, the enemy reaches for you through what you consume. It may seem harmless. It may taste delicious. But the most dangerous traps are the ones you never see coming. If Adam and Eve could forfeit dominion over an entire planet with one bite, What makes you think your destiny can't be altered by what you choose to consume carelessly? This is why prayer is not religious routine, it's spiritual warfare. When you pray over your food, you're not just thanking God, you are reclaiming authority over what you are about to receive. You are declaring that no weapon formed against you, even through food, will prosper. You are ensuring that the bread you eat will be bread of life, not bread of bondage, that the drink you consume will be rivers of living water, not cups of confusion. You must walk in the awareness that every meal is either reinforcing your spiritual fortress or weakening your spiritual defenses. Every bite is either feeding your victory or feeding your vulnerability. You have to live awake, alert, and armored. In a world where food is offered everywhere, but wisdom is offered to the few, you must choose daily to stand among the few. Let your appetite be disciplined. Let your spirit lead your decisions. Let your mouth be a gate of discernment, not a gate of destruction. Because the moment you understand that food has always been a spiritual gateway, you will stop eating casually and start eating consciously. Certain foods are spiritually charged at night. There are things that seem ordinary during the day, but become spiritually dangerous at night. Certain foods are not just ingredients and recipes. They are vessels, carriers of invisible forces. In the natural, you see bread, meat, or fruit. In the spirit, these foods can carry agreements, covenants, spiritual contamination. What many people don't understand is that the spirit world becomes most active at night. Witches, sorcerers, and manipulators of dark powers wait for the cover of darkness to perform rituals, sacrifice, and spiritual transactions. When your body is resting, your spirit is still wide awake, and the doorways you leave open during the day determine what walks into your life at night. That's why something as simple as what you eat late at night matters more than you realize. In cultures that understood the spiritual world better, nighttime meals were treated with great caution. They knew that certain foods, especially sweets, meats, and richly prepared dishes, were spiritually charged during rituals and ceremonies. Foods dedicated to dark powers were left outside at night for spirits to consume. So when a person, unaware and unguarded, consumes food that has been spiritually charged, they are not just filling their stomach, they are partaking in a spiritual transaction without even knowing it. They are eating spiritual agreements. They are swallowing battles they were never meant to fight. They are bringing into their body influences that have the power to derail destinies. Imagine walking through your neighborhood. Every house looks normal. But inside some houses, dark deals are being made, heavy atmospheres are brewing, unseen wars are raging. From the outside, all looks peaceful. But if you had spiritual eyes, you would see gates wide open to darkness. It's the same with food. It may look fresh, smell delicious, taste delightful. But in the spirit, it could be carrying despair, division, confusion, sickness, or bondage. You cannot afford to live life trusting only what your physical senses tell you. You must cultivate spiritual senses that discern beyond the visible. In daily life, how many times have you heard someone say, after that dinner, everything started going wrong. After that party, my peace left. After that celebration, my mind was never the same. It's not superstition. It's spiritual law. What you allow into your body late at night can become a weapon the enemy uses against your mind, your emotions, your future. When your physical defenses are relaxed, your spiritual defenses must be even more alert. Think about how easy it is to fall into careless eating at night. You're tired, you're emotionally drained. The day has pressed you and you just want comfort. You reach for snacks, sweets, heavy meals. You tell yourself, it's no big deal, I deserve it. But the enemy loves the moments when you justify flesh-led decisions. The enemy loves when you choose temporary satisfaction over permanent protection. Because what starts as a small compromise becomes a massive crack in your spiritual armor. And a crack is all a serpent needs to enter. Look around and you'll see it everywhere. People plagued by depression, sudden relationship breakdowns, businesses collapsing after seemingly innocent celebrations, a wedding feast where prayers were ignored, a birthday party where food was carelessly shared, a night out where drinks were raised without discernment, a late night meal that turned into a lifelong struggle, and all because spiritual doors were flung wide open through something as simple as eating without wisdom. In the same way you wouldn't leave your house unlocked at midnight in a dangerous neighborhood, you cannot leave your spirit unguarded when you eat at night. You must train yourself to ask, who prepared this? Over what spirit was this food cooked? What words were spoken over this meal? Am I blessing what I'm about to receive, or am I blindly receiving a curse disguised as comfort? In the daytime, natural light exposes much, but in the nighttime, you must rely on another kind of light, the light of discernment, the fire of prayer, the lamp of wisdom. You cannot survive nighttime battles with daytime casualness. The forces that move in the darkness do not sleep. They do not take vacations. They do not operate based on your innocence. If you open a door, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they will enter. You need to live so spiritually aware that even when your flesh is weak, your spirit remains strong. Even when your eyes are tired, your spirit sees clearly. Even when your body craves satisfaction, your soul demands sanctification. This is the generation that must rise with a different kind of wisdom. A wisdom that says, I will not eat everything put before me. I will not celebrate everything the world celebrates. I will not partake in every feast just because it's offered. I will guard my spirit like it is the vault of my destiny, because it is. Real power comes when you choose protection over pleasure. Real authority is built when you choose discipline over desire. The world teaches you to indulge yourself, but the Spirit of God teaches you to govern yourself. Say, no, not every food is for me. Not every moment is for me. Not every table is my table. Not every invitation is my destiny. Your destiny is too precious to risk for a few minutes of careless eating. Your future is too costly to gamble for a few bites of spiritually contaminated food. Nighttime is when kings warred, when prophets watched, when spirits moved. Nighttime is when destinies were sealed or sabotaged. You have to understand you're late. Night decisions are not small. They are seeds that grow into trees of either blessing or destruction. Every meal, every bite, every drink, it's either building your fortress or digging your grave. There is no neutral ground in the spirit. Every act matters. Every moment matters. Every meal matters. When you refuse to eat carelessly at night, you are not just protecting your body from indigestion. You are protecting your future from invasion. You are building invisible walls around your mind, your health, your relationships, your dreams. You are saying to every spirit watching you, I know who I am. I know what I carry. I know where I'm going, and nothing you offer me will make me compromise it. You are declaring with every choice, my appetite is submitted to my assignment. My cravings are submitted to my calling. My hunger is submitted to my purpose. Witchcraft works through legal permission. Witchcraft does not just work because someone wishes evil against you. It operates through legal permission. Spiritual forces, both good and evil, operate by laws, not emotions. You can cry, you can shout, you can be ignorant, but the laws are what determine the outcome. In the realm of the spirit, ignorance is not innocence. If you open a door, even by accident, the enemy has the right to walk through it. Just like gravity doesn't care if you understand physics, if you jump off a building, you will fall. In the same way, spiritual laws don't require your consent to function. They only require your participation, even if it's accidental. When you partake in something that grants the enemy legal access, it's like signing a contract you didn't read. Imagine getting a package at your door. You're excited. You sign the form without reading it. But what you didn't realize is that the fine print said you just agreed to pay thousands of dollars in fees. You didn't mean to, but legally you're bound. This is how witchcraft works. It tricks you into giving permission through actions that seem harmless, casual, or traditional. Daily life is filled with examples. You attend a feast because it's tradition. You eat certain foods late at night because everybody does it. You participate in rituals you don't understand because it's culture. But in the spirit, participation is permission. Even if you are unaware, your actions are speaking on your behalf. That's why spiritual discernment is not a luxury. It's a necessity. You cannot afford to move through life casually. You must live intentionally, understanding that every action is either opening heaven over you or opening hell against you. When you eat food that was prayed over by dark powers, when you partake in meals dedicated to spirits, when you ignore the voice of caution in your spirit late at night, you unknowingly give the enemy legal access to your life. And once permission is given, eviction becomes warfare. It's harder to cast out what you have already legally invited. Prevention is always easier than deliverance. It's easier to lock the door than to fight an intruder in your house at midnight. Think about contracts in the natural world. If you sign a lease, you're bound to that agreement. Even if you regret it later, the law enforces the terms you agreed to. In the spiritual world, the same principle applies. Eating what has been spiritually defiled, especially at night when spiritual activities intensify, is like signing a lease with darkness. The enemy then has the legal right to claim space in your mind, your dreams, your emotions, your relationships. You'll start fighting battles that don't make sense. You'll start facing attacks that seem random. But they are not random. They are legal battles in the spirit because you gave access. How many people are walking through life right now burdened, anxious, depressed, confused, and they don't know why? They think it's stress. They think it's bad luck. But in the spirit, it's a case of illegal occupation that started with a simple act of carelessness. A meal here, a gathering there, a plate received without discernment, a dish eaten without prayer. Moments that seemed harmless became doors that invited chaos. You must be like a skilled builder who reads every blueprint, checks every foundation, inspects every door. Your spirit must be awake even when your flesh is tired. Your discernment must be sharp even when the world calls you paranoid. Let them laugh. Let them mock. It's better to be cautious and victorious than casual and defeated. It's better to offend men than to offend destiny. It's better to say no to a meal than to say no to your future. Picture yourself walking through a dark forest at night. You have a lamp in your hand. Every step matters. Every choice matters. If you step without light, you risk falling into traps, pits, dangers you cannot see. But if you walk carefully, keeping your lamp burning, you can avoid the snares and reach your destination safely. That lamp is discernment. That caution is wisdom. That awareness is your survival. When you live understanding that witchcraft needs legal permission to operate, you stop living casually. You pray over your food. You ask God for discernment about every invitation. You watch the source of every blessing before you receive it. You test the spirit behind every celebration. You refuse to be manipulated into agreements through tradition or convenience. You recognize that your life, your future, your soul is too valuable to gamble with. In your daily life, you must practice this wisdom until it becomes your default setting. When someone offers you food, you pray internally. When you're about to eat late at night, you check your spirit. When you are in environments charged with strange atmospheres, you quietly seal your spirit under the blood of protection. You must walk as a king, as a priest, as a soldier, alert, aware, uncompromising. You are not just living for yourself, you are carrying generations within you. Your decisions are not small, they are generational, they are eternal. Every time you reject carelessness, you are building a fortress around your future children, your grandchildren, your legacy. Every time you say, I will not eat this, I will not participate in this, you are breaking curses that have lasted for centuries. You are shifting bloodlines. You are altering history. This is the kind of wisdom that distinguishes leaders from followers, champions from victims, history makers from history readers. Choose wisely, choose intentionally, because in the spirit world, everything matters, everything speaks, everything counts. Signs you've been spiritually attacked after eating. One of the greatest deceptions the enemy uses is making you think everything that happens after a careless action is just coincidence. But let me tell you something powerful. In the spiritual realm, there is no such thing as coincidence. Every open door produces a consequence. Every broken boundary invites a battle. When you eat something that has been spiritually contaminated, especially at night when your spirit is most vulnerable, the effects are not always immediate in the natural, but they are instant in the spirit. You need to develop the eyes to recognize when you've been spiritually attacked after eating, so you can rise up with authority and fight back. The first sign is sudden mental confusion. You know your mind, you know your clarity, but suddenly you feel like a fog has entered your thoughts. Decision-making becomes harder. You're second-guessing yourself constantly. It feels like you're in a maze you can't find your way out of. And it's not because you're tired. It's not because you didn't sleep well. It's a spiritual fog that entered through a door you left open. Just like bad fuel clogs an engine, spiritually tainted food can clog your mind and spirit. Another sign is extreme fatigue. I'm not talking about normal tiredness after a long day. I'm talking about a heaviness in your body that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up tired. You move through the day like you're dragging chains. You drink coffee, you take naps, but nothing works. Your energy has been drained at the spiritual level. It's as if a siphon has been attached to your soul, pulling strength from you invisibly. This is a classic tactic used to weaken warriors before battles even begin. You also start noticing a sudden increase in fear and anxiety. Things you were confident about now cause you to tremble. Decisions that once felt simple now make you feel overwhelmed. Anxiety rushes into places that were once filled with peace, and you find yourself imagining worst-case scenarios all the time. This is not your normal state. It's a spiritual attack that started through contaminated agreement. Fear is one of the most powerful tools the enemy uses to paralyze potential. Another undeniable sign is the eruption of strife in your relationships. Arguments flare up over small issues. Misunderstandings multiply. Love feels strained. Trust feels shaky. You start seeing friends, family, even your spouse, through lenses of suspicion and offense. Where there was unity, now there's division. Because the enemy knows if he can't beat you by himself, he'll divide your team and let you destroy yourselves from within. Contaminated food, spiritually speaking, can plant seeds of discord that manifest through unnecessary conflict. Many people also experience sudden financial chaos. Doors that were once open start slamming shut, opportunities dry up, unexpected bills and losses appear out of nowhere. You sow seeds but reap nothing. It's as if there's a spiritual devourer assigned to your harvest, and you sit back confused, wondering what happened. You thought it was just bad luck, but it was a spiritual transaction triggered by careless spiritual participation. And then there are the dreams. Oh, the dreams. After being spiritually attacked, your dreams will shift. You'll see images of eating strange food. You'll dream of being chased, trapped, falling, or being confined in dark places. You'll see symbols of witchcraft like snakes, dark water, broken mirrors, or strange animals. Your dream life becomes a battlefield because your spirit is fighting what your body carelessly allowed. Dreams are one of the first ways the spirit world communicates that something is wrong. Physical sickness is another manifestation. Sudden stomach issues, migraines, recurring infections, or unexplained pains that doctors can't trace. What started as an invisible attack begins to manifest in the body because when your spirit is compromised, it opens the gate for physical weaknesses. Remember, the spirit, soul, and body are deeply interconnected. What invades one realm eventually spills into the others. I want you to think about a house. If someone poisons the water supply, the damage doesn't show immediately. But over time, sickness, weakness, and even death can occur. In the same way, when your spirit's supply lines are poisoned through contaminated spiritual food, you may not see the effects immediately, but if you are spiritually sensitive, you'll catch the signs before the damage becomes permanent. How many times have you noticed that after eating from certain people or in certain places, your mood changed, your peace left, your progress stopped? You found yourself stuck in cycles you thought you had overcome. That is not random. That is spiritual warfare. This is why you must develop a sharp spirit. You must be able to look beyond the plate and discern the source. Ask yourself daily, who prepared this? What was the spirit behind it? Am I inviting blessings or battles by partaking in this? Wisdom must become your constant companion. You need to understand that every attack has an entry point. The enemy doesn't just invade without a gate being open. Recognizing the signs is the first step to shutting the gate. Don't brush off strange experiences after eating. Don't explain away sudden confusion, fatigue, anxiety, relational breakdowns, financial setbacks, disturbing dreams, and sicknesses that have no natural cause. There is a call to spiritual maturity happening right now. You are being called to rise above casual living. Casual Christians will be casualties in spiritual warfare. But those who are alert, discerning, prayerful, and wise will stand tall, unmoved, untouchable. You cannot afford to be passive anymore. You must be intentional about what you eat, who you eat with, and when you eat, especially during the night hours when spiritual activity is heightened, you must declare daily, I am not just protecting my body, I am guarding my destiny. I am not just making wise choices for today, I am securing the future of generations that will come after me. I will not be ignorant of the enemy's devices. I will live awake, alert, armored, and anointed. Every action matters, every meal matters, every agreement matters. Every open door must be discerned and guarded. How to close every open door? Closing every open door in your life is not a passive act. It is a deliberate, aggressive move in the spirit. When you realize that doors have been opened, you don't just sit back and hope they close by themselves. You rise up like a warrior. You rise up like a builder determined to seal every crack in the wall. Imagine living in a house and discovering the front door is wide open in the middle of the night. Would you casually sip your coffee, sit back, and hope the wind will close it? No! You would run to that door, slam it shut, lock it, and check every other entrance. You would move urgently because you understand that an open door is an open invitation to thieves, to danger, to destruction. In the same way, when you discern that spiritual doors have been left open, you must take spiritual action. You don't close spiritual doors with wishes. You close them with repentance, renunciation, and aggressive prayer. Repentance is acknowledging that somewhere, knowingly or unknowingly, you allowed entry. Renunciation is standing in the authority of your words and canceling every agreement made with darkness. Aggressive prayer is the enforcement arm of your authority. You don't just ask nicely, you command every legal right to be revoked and every illegal occupant to leave. In daily life, if you realize someone hacked your bank account, would you sit back and hope the thief feels bad and returns your money? No, you would call the bank. You would shut down the account. You would change your passwords. You would launch an investigation. You would take immediate steps to reclaim what is yours. Spiritually, it must be the same. You don't wait for the enemy to feel bad. You take back your authority. You shut every door. You seal every access point. Closing open doors also demands discernment. Not every door looks dangerous at first glance. Some doors are disguised with beauty, opportunity, or familiarity. You must ask the Holy Spirit to reveal the hidden traps. Think about termites in a house. They eat away at the structure silently until one day the whole building collapses. But if you are discerning, you'll spot the signs early, the hollow sounds, the tiny holes, the weakening frame. Discernment in the spirit works the same way. You'll sense that something is not right. You'll feel a check in your spirit before disaster strikes. Honor those inner alarms. They are not paranoia, they are divine warnings. Many people think closing open doors is a one-time event, but it's actually a lifestyle. Every day you live, you must guard your gates. Your eyes are gates. Your mouth is a gate. Your mind is a gate. Your gate. What you watch, what you listen to, what you say, and what you think can either open or close doors. You must become the gatekeeper of your life. You must stand like a soldier at the entrance of your soul, checking every thought, every influence, every opportunity, every relationship. You must constantly ask, does this bring life or does it invite death? Does this honor my destiny or does it compromise it? Imagine a farmer who checks the fences around his fields every morning. He knows that one small breach can let in wild animals that will destroy months of hard work. So he doesn't wait until disaster strikes. He inspects, he mends, he fortifies. Spiritually, you must do the same. Daily inspection, daily prayer, daily sealing of doors. Because life is not a game. Destiny is not casual. Purpose is not automatic. It is fiercely protected or easily stolen. Closing open doors also involves forgiveness. Bitterness and unforgiveness are massive doors through which witchcraft, curses, and oppression can legally enter. When you hold unforgiveness, you give the enemy a foothold. It's like leaving a window cracked open during a storm. The wind and rain don't need a big opening, just a small one will do. That's why the Bible says, do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is spiritual warfare. It is slamming the door in the enemy's face and saying, you have no access here. Another daily practice for closing doors is the proclamation of the Word of God. The Word is a sword, a shield, a fortress. Every day you should be declaring, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Every tongue that rises against me in judgment I shall condemn. Every day you should be sealing your mind, your body, your home, your family under divine protection. Words are not just sounds, they are spiritual forces. When you speak the word, you are building walls that hell itself cannot penetrate. Picture a massive fortress made of unbreakable stone, surrounded by watchtowers, armed guards, and flaming swords. That is what your life looks like when you live in daily alignment with the Spirit of God. Sealing every door, guarding every gate, watching every step. You are not just surviving, you are thriving. You are not just enduring, you are conquering. You are not just hoping for protection, you are enforcing divine security with power and authority. Some people live like tourists in the spirit, casual, distracted, oblivious. But you must live like a warrior. You must live like a king guarding a palace. You must live like an ambassador of heaven on hostile territory. You must wake up every morning declaring, today, every door that is not a God is closed. Every agreement with darkness is canceled. Every hidden trap is exposed. Every unauthorized spirit is evicted. My life is a no entry zone for evil. You must walk through your home, your job, your relationships with spiritual eyes wide open. You must speak over your food, your water, your sleep, your dreams, your future. You must declare that only what comes from God is allowed to enter. You must resist the casual invitations of the enemy that come disguised as entertainment, convenience, or tradition. You must be bold enough to walk away from what the crowd calls normal if it threatens your spiritual covering. You must recognize that maintaining a closed door is easier than fighting to reclaim lost territory. You must be proactive, not reactive. You must be fierce about your future, aggressive about your anointing, stubborn about your peace, relentless about your destiny. You must live every day as if your life depends on your vigilance, because it does. Wisdom for protection going forward. Wisdom is not just about knowing what happened, it's about adjusting how you live moving forward. Wisdom is the gatekeeper of your destiny. Wisdom is what separates those who survive life from those who master it. Wisdom is what makes the difference between falling into the same traps repeatedly and building a life that no force of darkness can easily touch. When you realize that your life is a magnet for both blessings and attacks, you stop moving carelessly, you start becoming intentional, you become selective about what you allow in your space. You recognize that not everything is harmless, not every offer is safe, not every meal is just food, not every friend is truly a friend. Wisdom is the light that exposes what was hidden behind smiles, gifts, opportunities, and habits. In the journey of life, many people move with enthusiasm but without wisdom. They accept every invitation, they eat at every table, they trust too easily, they speak too quickly. They open their lives to strangers simply because they don't recognize the spiritual concepts. But wisdom says, pause, evaluate, discern, protect. Wisdom doesn't make you fearful, it makes you powerful. Wisdom doesn't paralyze you, it positions you. Wisdom isn't about suspicion, it's about survival. Imagine a soldier walking through a minefield. He's not paranoid, he's alert. Every step he takes is measured, calculated, because he knows that one wrong step could destroy everything. That's how you must move spiritually. You cannot afford to step carelessly anymore. You cannot afford to taste everything put before you. You cannot afford to embrace everything that looks good on the surface. The enemy has upgraded his strategies. You must upgrade your discernment. Daily life is full of examples. You wouldn't let a random stranger babysit your children just because they smiled at you. You wouldn't give your house keys to someone you barely know because they seem nice for a few minutes. You wouldn't drink from a glass that smells suspicious just because you're thirsty. In the same way, you must not allow spiritual contamination just because something is popular, trendy, or easily available. Wisdom builds barriers where emotions would have built bridges. Wisdom demands verification where naivety offers blind trust. One powerful principle you must live by is this: protect your nights. Protect your nights fiercely. Nighttime is when spiritual activity intensifies. While men sleep, the Bible says, the enemy comes to sow tares. If the enemy is working overtime while you're resting, you must work overtime before you rest. Seal your nights with prayer. Cover your food with blessings. Command your atmosphere. Don't go to bed lazy. Go to bed armored. Just as a wise homeowner locks all the doors and windows before going to sleep, you must spiritually lock your life every single night. Wisdom also teaches you to be selective about who lays hands on you. who prays over you, who speaks into your life. Not every hand is clean. Not every word is pure. Not every prayer is aligned with God's will for your life. Many have fallen because they allowed contaminated words to be planted in their spirits. They didn't discern the spirit behind the blessing. They didn't weigh the motives behind the friendship. Wisdom looks past the surface. Wisdom listens to what is not being said. Wisdom watches for the signs that emotions often ignore. Wisdom trains you to understand seasons. There are seasons when God will isolate you to protect you. Do not fight divine isolation. Sometimes the people you want to bring with you to the next level cannot handle the anointing on your life. Sometimes the tables you want to sit at have been prepared by hands you shouldn't be joining with. Wisdom says, let them go if they threaten your growth. Walk alone if necessary, but never compromise your covering. Wisdom also demands that you maintain a lifestyle of prayer and fasting. There are battles you will never win by shouting alone. There are doors you will never close with casual prayers. Some things only bow through concentrated spiritual discipline. Fasting sharpens your spirit. Prayer builds your inner man. Together, they make you sensitive to shifts in the atmosphere. You will know without being told. You will discern without being deceived. You will sense the ambush before it happens. That's the power of living in wisdom. In daily examples, think about athletes. The best athletes don't just train during the game. They live a lifestyle of preparation. They don't just stretch when they feel pain. They stretch daily to avoid injury. They don't just hydrate during the match. They hydrate every day so their bodies stay strong. Wisdom works the same way. You don't prepare for war when you're already under attack. You live ready. You live fortified. You live saturated in prayer, discernment, and obedience. Wisdom teaches you the difference between urgent and important. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every invitation is yours to accept. Not every opportunity is a blessing. Wisdom gives you the courage to say no without guilt, to walk away without regret, to delay gratification without fear. Because you understand that what you are carrying is too precious to be risked by momentary emotions. The wisest people aren't necessarily the ones who know everything. They are the ones who obey divine instructions quickly. When God says move, they move. When God says stop, they stop. When God says separate, they separate. Wisdom shortens seasons of suffering because it aligns you with the right movements at the right time. Wisdom saves you from learning through pain what you could have learned through obedience. Wisdom is the voice inside you that says, you've come too far to lose it now. Protect what you've built. Guard what you've been given. Value what cost you tears, prayers, battles, and years. You were not born to be a victim of unseen forces. You were created to be a gatekeeper, a watchman, a protector of your own destiny. It is time to rise up with the fierce determination that says, no more access, no more open doors, no more silent attacks. Your life is too precious to be left unguarded. Your destiny is too powerful to be left vulnerable. Your purpose is too rare to be played with by forces that seek to destroy you. You must wake up every morning with fire in your eyes and say to yourself, I am not available for defeat. I am not available for depression. I am not available for destruction. I am standing in my authority. There comes a point where you must say, enough is enough. There comes a moment when you realize you are not here to survive life. You are here to dominate it. You are not here to barely make it. You are here to set new standards. You are not here to cry about open doors. You are here to close them, seal them, and build new ones that lead only to victory. Life will not give you what you hope for. Life will give you what you demand through wisdom, through discipline, through spiritual aggression. The gates of your life must become sacred territory. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your time. Not every spirit deserves entrance. You are the security system of your destiny. You are the firewall that decides what enters and what gets rejected. And every day you rise, you must stand tall and declare, I guard my peace like a soldier. I protect my purpose like a king protects his crown. I defend my joy like a warrior defends his homeland. You must walk like you know you are royalty. You must talk like you know heaven backs you up. You must live like someone who understands that destiny is not casual. It is fought for, it is bled for, it is guarded with everything you have. When you walk into a room, walk like the atmosphere shifts because you arrived. When you speak, speak like the universe has to listen. When you pray, pray like you are shaking the very foundations of hell. They may laugh at you now for being cautious. They may mock you for being selective. But hear me, the very people who laughed will one day look at the results you produce and wonder how you did it. You did it because you lived with wisdom. You did it because you guarded your gates. You did it because you refused to let anything unclean take residence in your spirit. You did it because you chose to be uncommon in a world that celebrates compromise. Winners are not the ones who move fast. They are the ones who move smart. Champions are not the ones who say yes to everything. They are the ones who know the power of a strategic no. Legends are not made by those who fit in. They are made by those who dare to stand out, even when it costs them popularity, comfort, and temporary applause. You must become so committed to protecting your life that compromise disgusts you. You must become so in love with your future that cheap shortcuts make you sick. You must become so focused on your assignment that distractions feel like a betrayal to your very soul. The world does not need more entertainers, it needs more warriors. It does not need more reactors, it needs more gatekeepers. You are not fighting for survival, you are fighting for legacy. You are not closing doors just for today, you are securing tomorrow. Every time you say no to what could have contaminated you, you say yes to what will elevate you. Every time you close an open door to darkness, you open a new door to destiny. And when the enemy comes knocking again, because he will, let him find a fortified house. Let him find a life so covered by prayer, so sealed by wisdom, so guarded by divine favor that he will say, there's no point wasting time here. Remember, you don't have to announce your greatness. You don't have to explain your protection. You don't have to defend your vigilance. Just let the results speak. Just let the victories accumulate. Just let the doors you closed become the platforms God uses to launch you higher than you ever imagined. And when they ask you how you survived what destroyed others, how you thrived when others gave up, how you soared when others sank, smile and say, I closed the door when it mattered. I guarded my life when it counted. I refused to eat at every table, and I refuse to let darkness dine with my destiny. You are not average. You are not random. You are not here by accident. You are a warrior. You are a gatekeeper. You are the protector of a future so powerful that hell itself is afraid of what you will become if you keep every door closed to darkness and every window open to divine destiny.